Hell, dude.
I won't look at you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Context Window, Series 7's episode of fun facts and maybe a little bit of debunking. Today, we have a very cool episode for everybody. We're going to talk about QSRs, which is quick serve restaurants. That's the acronym, and how they leverage technology of all kinds in their digital menu displays. These are things you see in the drive-thru that show up on your apps, and all the stuff that works behind the scenes that most of us take for granted. So we're going to start today, and we're going to go around the table because we do have a bigger group, and usually there's 2 or 3 of us. And so we're going to start on my left here. Just a quick intro, who you are, to talk to the camera.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Maurice, partner at Series 7. I've been doing work in the QSR realm for a while now, and one of our big clients is a prominent QSR around here. So I'm excited. It's a coffee business. I'm coffee. Yeah, big out of it. Yeah, big coffee business. I'm to get into this, but
Yeah, cool. Very good.
all right. My name is Mike Ensor. I'm a tech lead for Google, and I've been working on and off with QSRs for about 6 years now. So like a little bit about that, a lot about the retailers as well. A lot of my expertise is kind of what the compute stuff that we do outside of large data centers and cloud centers.
Very good. And you've got a couple stories. If I have a C stories, right? You've got some stories for us. Awesome. I'll go next. I'm the host. Also, my name is Matt. I'm the CEO at Series 7, the company behind the Context Window. Again, this is our fun time that we're going to go through. I don't have a ton of experience. I'm more of as a consumer. So I have critiques of what's out there, what's not, and some ideas. And so we've kind of put our heads together on, as a company, to think about things that we may suggest in terms of service offerings or solutions that probably some are going to bounce off Mike, because I know that he's probably a year ahead of our thinking. So it'll be fun. And to my right.
Yeah, my name's Garcia. Been working at Series 7 for the past 4 years, mainly in the menu space as well.
Digital menus, because we don't bring anyone menus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't add items to the work of the software.
All right. Does anyone ever hear stories about vandalism on these things?
Oh, it's just
Because when I was a kid, I always colored the menus. Right? Sometimes they give you ones to color on, but if they didn't, then you get one and just pull a pen out of mom's purse or something.
No, it's a good question, because one of the biggest fears that we hear from our clients is not necessarily like people vandalizing with a spray paint, but vandalizing via digitally, like hacking in.
Yeah,
that's like a top tier 1 issue that we focus on, like on secure, sure, very much so. Like so I can't go into too many specific about the customers that I'm working with, but one of them is McDonald's, right? And one of the things that I'm mostly concerned about is creating a 40,000 location, 110 country platform. So think about that. Like, think about the amount of DDoS that you would have when, that's taking out nation governments. That's not like, oh, we'll just block a couple things. Like, so you're right. Security is a really big thing. So I agree. Like, the vandalism, I'm not as concerned about. And there is some physical stuff from when you're in the store. Like, I'll be honest, like some of the places I went to, we witnessed employees walking up and plugging USBs into the front of servers, and as you slugging into their phone to charge them, right? So you got to think about that. Like, not every table, every secure either. So yeah. So security is always top of mind.
And their intent isn't malicious. They just want to charge their phone.
Yeah, they're right. Look, I'm almost dead. We plugged this in.
Most of them probably don't have an idea what that box is actually doing other than applying power to their phone.
I've seen that plug before. Here we go.
Yeah. I got one in my car.
Yep.
Yeah, there he goes. Right on.
So is the fear, Mike, is it that these devices get taken over and used like in a DDoS attack? That's exactly, yeah. So you just think about like how that distribution happens, right? All of a sudden you get, 20, 30 countries with, a couple thousand, and then they start spreading further. And right. Yeah, you're not stopping that thing. That's a louder stank. Yeah.
So it's like War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
But with nuggets.
Yeah. So we sit there with like with McNuggets, the book. Yeah.
What's your favorite sauce for McNuggets?
For McNuggets, I go barbecue.
Barbecue?
Yeah. I'm gonna probably the sweet sour.
Yeah, that's a good one.
2 for sweet and sour.
1. Yeah, I like sweet sour.
3.
Remember the Szechuan release?
Yeah. That
Yes,
that was
they had 2 kinds. There was a Szechuan and there was like a hot chili.
Yeah,
something.
right.
The 2 Asian styles.
That was so cool because that was with Rick and Morty, right? That was like kind of marketing kind of what is there. Yeah. That was cool. I got to have that a few weeks before it came out in the public, because I was working back in the back offices with at the Innovation Center in Chicago with McDonald's, and you go in the back, and it swear to God feels like what is it, the Last Crusades or whatever, Indiana Jones, when they go in and they put that box in the back, like you open the doors and you're like, whoa, it's just miles of all this like stuff, right? Yeah, so I got to go back there, like, oh, check this out, and they came and they got one, so it was really cool. So like a cool story of the said one, unreleased sauces, yeah, yeah, it was awesome, not labeled. There's so many meats around that.
So changing gears just a little bit, have you had the purple Whopper?
The purple, oh no,
No?
I haven't. That's the scary Whopper. Is that what
Is it the scary ones and the
The black one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, black one. Wendy's has the purple one. Yeah, because that's for the whole Wednesday movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the reason I'm bringing these up is because they're kind of weird, they're kind of random, but it actually makes a little bit of sense because these are the things that change throughout each different quick service restaurants life cycle or seasons, right? And so what happens to the engineers here to my on both sides of me? What happens when that stuff happens when there's changes? When something rolls out. Let's say it's the Wednesday thing for Wendy's or the McRib is back.
Right.
You get the McRib, you get the Wendy's one, even though we don't work with Wendy's. But
Sure. Yeah. I can start. I'd be curious to hear like what Mike and Evan say, but yeah, like on our side of things, obviously you're going to be doing a lot of menu control around that. And it depends kind of where the QSR is kind of in their like maturity, like life cycle. Like Series 7, we have like a maturity model that kind of describes some of this, but if your QSR is kind of in that print stage, then you're probably printing some of these promotional menus. Sure. Whereas like what we were just talking about, DMB is kind of the edge sort of tech. You're going to be doing more like content management digitally. Yeah. But you have to support like a lot of those marketing efforts via whatever tools that you have, ideally digital tools, but yeah.
so digital tools, we're going to come to the McRib in a second, but what does it mean to you though? What Maurice just described was the 10,000 foot view. What gets pushed out? Tell me what happens. Tell the audience what happens. And we will have tech people in our audience, but maybe tell it like you tell a fifth grader.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of different data that goes into a digital menu system. So you'll have store data, you'll have menu data, you'll have product data. So for a specific promotion, usually a marketing team will end up like combining menu data that they'll create a menu that contains specific items for specific promotions. So for the Wednesday one specifically, like you'll have a marketing team that designs that, but you also need to compile all that product data, send it to different channels, send it to different locales where you're running those promotions, and that eventually gets pushed out onto the digital menu board, which is what the customer will eventually see.
So, and what all of this is done, like, and I'll just speak for all of them, right? They're all done like they're months in advance, right? Like the technology is just the conveyance of the thing that's going out. Like by the time it gets to there, like it's already been well decided because inevitably it's always wrapped up into that pun, but it's always goes into wrappers and everything else as well. So I just realized as soon as I said that, the containers, gets put into containers, right? And each of those have the marketing branding on top of that as well. So like that backs up to the physical print. So like a way that, because I work with a couple different QSRs, it's not just the McDonald's. It's the one I can publicly speak about. But a lot of the control that goes through all of that, is months in advance. I was kind of joking about the Szechuan thing, and I got to see that early. That was a part of that where they already had that as unbranded and labeled. They were testing it out, trying it, making things for good. All of these companies have, test kitchens, right? And so they're going to go do all of those things. And then by the time it gets down to there, so what we see at the, like, so we'll go with even like McDonald's or any of the others, right? For the digital menu boards, they end up getting these things streamed to them, days or sometimes even weeks ahead of time. They're just going to sit in kind of digital purgatory at the store until, that eventually pops over. But with it, comes a ton of controls and business rules and things around it. Like, cross the border and you've got a different promotion. You go from one country or counted to another, you may have a different promotion. And each of these have to be pretty granular too. You get laws that come into place of like, well, you can't advertise something if it doesn't have like a calorie count on it or something like, or weird thing like localization. Yeah. So these are all the things we kind of have to think about when we're designing a system like this. It seems like such a simple thing of like, let me just go display or I could drip a cheeseburger or something like that. But it sounds simple. There's so much more behind it.
And one thing that like Ed and I have run into quite a bit is like the data, like ownership, like who owns a menu. Because if you think about it, like a menu is a marketing tool. But this is where it gets a little bit, there's a little bit of back and forth that we've seen where it's like, is it marketing data? Is it product data? Is it store data? And you're like trying to combine all these things. And so there's a lot of cross functionality.
Yeah. So you made a good point there. Like the other thing you also think about too is like franchisees. So a lot of the QSRs are not owned by the company. So they can't just say, you have to run the promotion.
Right.
As contractually, they may have some there, but a lot of the time, there's promotions. Like you look at like airports and things like that. They're like, I don't want to give away any of my margin. Like I've got a steady business, so I'm not going to run that promotion. Right. So DMBs also have to work at that level too, and have the ability for the franchise owners to turn them off or change them.
So there's exemptions in that. That's another piece of them. Okay.
That's a great point. Yeah, multi-tiers of business rules just to display a purple cheeseburger.
Yeah. So does the McRib come back at the same time every year? I don't know, because I'm sure it's a wonderful thing, but I eat ribs a little different.
Oh, I do like the McRib, although I do like their rib. I don't think of it as a rib.
Hey, we all have our guilty pleasures. As it is.
It's either that or Taco Bell. I don't know. Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, McDonald's fries. That's why we
Had to pull through the other day, just because it was just kind of calling. So get a hot batch of fries, a little extra salt.
Yeah. I have a little bit different relationship with McDonald's than you guys do, but yeah, I did eat McDonald's for 2.5 weeks straight for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, it was like the guy on what was that documentary? Like the Super Size Me. Yeah, Super Size Me. Yeah.
I started like customizing meals, and I realized, okay, so can you take the lettuce from that and put that onto the chicken? And yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah, I was in the middle of Sydney, Australia, and there were no other restaurants around, and I was doing a whole bunch of stuff for work there. So they're like, all we have is McDonald's. I'm like, all right, all I'll eat is McDonald's, I guess. So
and they call it something else.
yeah, Macca's. That's a really cool thing. I think just we go back to just marketing all this stuff for all the QSRs. That was a turning point, I think, for McDonald's. Is it wasn't just Macca's that did it, but there's Macados, because they were in Spain. And so up until then, I don't know the official story of this. The rumor mill has it that a VP was basically saying, no, it's got it. We stay on brand. But when he retired, all of a sudden, stores in Spain are like, great, well, where's he take this opportunity? They started calling it Macados. And then Maca is down in Australia, and their sales just took off because people felt like it wasn't the American restaurant; it was their version of their restaurant.
And you have to localize that stuff. I mean, I think all of us have been around the world a little bit, or at least a few different countries, and that's just what they have.
But no kielbasa.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly. There's a kielbasa. There's McDonald's around Europe where you can get beer.
Yes, I've had the McBeer.
And there was what was it? Hesburger.
Oh, Hesburger, yes. Different company completely.
Is Hesburger's they're not just Estonia, they're say the Baltics, Nordic, so the Baltic region. What are they doing, do you think, with their digital menus, if any?
What's interesting? I don't think they are, and I'm kind of saying like a next tier. So we've got pretty much the top 6, right? You're gonna have your McDonald's and your Wendy's and Burger Kings and stuff like that. All of them are kind of focusing on this, like what that digital menu board is. Yeah. Do that personalization. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Is going to be a big driver of that. But you get below that, and there's an ROI that I'm not sure that they see yet, and that's going to be an interesting thing too. So I'm kind of hoping that like audience here listens to some of the inner workings of that, and then say, well, maybe that next tier down does actually start looking at those digital menu boards and say it isn't as much of an investment as they think it might end up being, and it's something that they can actually bring to their customers, right? Because it gives you a lot of that flexibility that, obviously the negative stories you hear out there are like dynamic pricing. Right. That's not at all what when I think of digital menu boards as being effective for. Like I think that's the anti-consumer side of it, and sure, somebody gets a little bit bit more money, but it ultimately hurts your brand. But the ability to say, great, this month we're going to run this promotion, this time we do that promotion, this week, this day, and then ultimately, eventually, the future would be like, I walk up with my app and already knows who I am, and or changes that menu for me to say, here's something that you might like better. Right. I mean, kids would get rid of all the kid menu stuff and just show me what's available in front of me.
So I have a thought and maybe a question here for this. And then I do want to get to the personalization stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be really good. And I want to go around the table and see kind of what predictions are.
Yeah.
Right. Over what it was going to be. So like, to what extent is it going to go to? Yeah. They're reeling back a little bit around the, obviously the big players. They're well funded. They're innovative. They have to be, and as part of their brand, I think it's where people expect. But some of the restaurants that are arguably better, the smaller ones, like even the Whataburgers or, places like that, the regional ones, we actually had a lead come in from like a 30 or 40 chain burger joint in the Midwest somewhere, because they're starting to recognize what's happening, right? And so one of the kind of positions that we've taken as a company is that with the innovation and advancement of AI backed or AI enabled or AI powered, whatever you want to call it, technology, there are far more things at a faster pace that become available to someone who has not been enterprise size. It's not been Fortune 500 or 100 or whatever. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on that?
So I do agree with that. I think
The barrier of entry.
yeah, the barrier to entry is going to be significantly lower because of things like AI. But also, what I noticed is just in my time in the last 5-6 years with QSRs is they tend to sit around and watch each other and see when one innovates. Like McDonald's tends to be the leader in the innovation space, and that's everything across the entire board. And then I would see like often Taco Bell is up there as well as they're like, hey, what can we try? Right? Like their customers are okay with that kind of stuff. And then what will happen is next year down to your Taco John's and your Subways and so well, I guess Subway's pretty large, but you watch these other ones right that are looking at that, and then they'll start adopting those things after they start coming in, and they'll just they will get over that innovation hump, which brings a barrier of entry much lower for those.
Exactly. Side note, Taco Bell, if you're listening, bring back the double decker. You brought it back all summer, and then it's gone again. They want to give you the double stack, which has nacho cheese instead of beans. Yes. Bring back the double decker in its original form. It's a bestseller. I don't know why it's not there. Anyway,
I contribute. I try to make it a bestseller. I
Yeah.
bought it.
I bought a lot of them this summer. Yes, my son's addicted to Taco Bell, so anytime we see one, it's like, can we go get there? Can we go to T-Bell? So it's like, yep, college kids and teenagers, and then us.
Nerdy,
I think it appeals to everyone.
nerdy mid-40s. That's what you love talking
Put it
about.
on your digital menus, put it front and center. Sales will skyrocket.
Exactly. Run a promo. Run a promo. We will help you with that. Evan.
Yeah.
So what do you think of what Mike just said? And Maurice, you're next. But what do you think about what I guess maybe what's some of the things that need to happen? If we're talking about the landscape, we're talking about the availability of tools, technology, all that sort of stuff for, say, a Taco John's type size or a 30-person chain that has no choice really. Let's be honest here. They have no choice but to evolve.
Yep.
Right? Because that's what people are going to expect. Fewer and fewer. I mean, how many paper menus from the Chinese restaurant and things do you have? Nothing. I don't have any of that stuff anymore. And I don't believe I'm the only one. It's all on their phones. It's all, So how does that translate? So how do you build the bridge?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear, especially with like medium to large sized QSRs. I mean, obviously it's a massive monetary investment, and that scares QSRs, with any company. But you don't need to do it all at once. You can make the gradual transition from print to digital, and a lot of clients that we work with do the same thing. So you'll slowly move from print to digital, and I think a lot of companies don't even realize that they see like the upfront costs of digital, and they think, oh man, like this is massive. But most of the time, like when QSRs do implement digital menu systems, they'll see ROI on it within the year, a year or two, and it's paid off itself. And now, like, they see revenue boosts, they see productivity boosts, they see so much, so many results just from the transition. It's crazy, and they don't think about it off the front. They just see the big like dollar sign at the beginning.
Sure. And that's a notable reaction. I think a reasonable fear of a massive upfront capital expenditure. You have to buy the actual hardware, right? Then there has to be technology to run it. So what would a company like Google or a company like ours do to maybe like position themselves in a way to provide something? Does that exist?
Yeah, are you asking kind
Or
of
is it all custom? I guess what I'm saying is, because I know what we're doing right now is all custom for the big boys, right?
buy,
That's sort of what's that?
build versus buy? Is that kind of the
Build versus buy.
yeah.
So there's I guess my statement earlier was around with where AI is now and as fast as it's moving and evolving, right? Is it feasible for a company like ours or anyone else that's in this space to leverage I don't know, see the platforms and the tools of Google's or BWS or anyone else, build something that is then now not reusable, but it's kind of a customized off the shelf sort of thing where a Taco John's or a I think like Pete's Coffee or something like that, because they're not that big, right? They're around, but around that size, the mid or large, right? They're not huge.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No, I think I understand what you're saying. I think what we've seen with our clients, I mean, I can give you the it depends answer, which is the correct one. The better answer though, I think, is
They don't want that. They don't want that.
no.
They want to hear stuff.
Thing answer. Yeah, exactly.
They want to hear that brain work.
Right. No, I think the good answer is what we've seen with our clients is it's a little bit of both. It's I would say primarily build though. I would start with depends on the structure of the company and how things are laid out. But what we've seen is that there's been attempts at a lot of like buying. And when you have an organization that is either siloed or kind of has these like different, we talked earlier about store data, product data. Those are two inputs into a menu CMS. You're also going to have stuff like, localization. You're going to have these products are going to be changing, right? Like the prices on them. And then you're also going to have inputs like your creative, right? So you have assets like images, video sometimes. So you have all of these inputs into the system and they're always coming. They're all coming from different like spaces depending on what QSR you're working in. So that's why I would generally recommend like a build solution. I'd be curious to hear from Mike in a second about like maybe there is some buy opportunities, but with the size of clients that we've worked with, it's just like, okay, you have to hook up to Adobe. You have to hook up to this custom product database we have. We have to hook up to this. And then you're also dealing with what we talked about earlier around like, okay, who owns what data? That's really tricky. Do the marketing team do they own like product data? Probably not, but they do own like these promotions that are going out, these menus that are going to how about they're printed or digital otherwise. So there's a lot of moving parts, but yeah, ties that with, of course, we've got multiple different markets too, the dealer represent to. So it's the market, it's the region, it's the ownership of the business unit, all of those, a lot of different ownership with that.
So before you go too far in this, I want to kind of restate the question. I've thought about it a little bit differently now. Is there a way, and of course, limited by what you can or can't say or what of being inside the big Google, the Google machine, yes, right? Is it like reasonable to think that a company like Google would be trying to Shopify this? Like if you look at Shopify, and
Probably not Google, to be honest, but I think,
or one of them.
well, I think this is where it really comes into doing good software development skills just to begin with, good systems engineering to start with. So create like, me, but like one of my favorite things to say is create interfaces, right? I love interfaces because that gives me the ability to swap out an implementation on an interface, like we build towards that. And so if you think about all those different types of data, right, like the older school you get back to, right, it does drop into like, well, fine, we'll just use FTP folders, right, and we'll drop files into there. We're gonna have a naming convention. That's essentially an interface, right? So you can set yourself up for these types of things. So then your customization aspect of that just becomes just how do I implement towards the interface that I set up even if it's my own organization. So a few years ago, many years ago now, like when I worked with you, we were doing some stuff with REI, remember?
Yeah.
And we built a headless CMS content. And we ended up cutting down significant amounts of licenses off as the Adobes because we didn't need to go directly to that. Instead, what we did is we published it like a proxy would or a queue would, our own essentially CDN, and then that data was picked up and then utilized in other ways. So I think that's actually where these organizations do. Like you'll see, like the big boys already do this today, and that's how their digitals are being done. So their product data is owned by one, their pricing and their inventory, and so that all comes together and mashes at the end. But each of those are different silos that come through their own APIs.
Yeah.
And I think
but they're all in the same family.
Yeah, all the small folks can do the same, right? Or the medium-sized business can do the exact same thing. Just thinking about it in layers. Don't think about it as like, I want to gen everything at the end. Think about like where things need to exist at the period of time that you're going to have them. And then how do you access that? That's good. Design your system that way. And there is reusability in that too, which is interesting. If you think about it, it's not just digital mini board, but what I'm going to use for my digital media, like my phones and my tablets and even TV ads and things like that, like they're all going to follow similar patterns. They're going to have similar types of data that exist. And so having the access to those types of resources that they're coming down and making the interfaces for, like, kind of opens up the door to have the rest of those things also available to you. And it honestly it's agnostic to any particular company. It's more about systems engineering and thinking about data flows than it is about the actual coding. Yeah.
So it depends.
Yeah. It depends.
But it's also possible.
It is very possible. It is.
I think too, sorry. It also depends like where the specific QSR is at like the menu maturity and level. Yeah, like if they do have hardware that's already set up, but it uses like a format that like you can't really have that comes out of the box, like that complicates things.
Yeah, they bought something proprietary.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more common than you'd imagine. Like that's actually almost everywhere has
Oh, I would imagine that's like overwhelmingly
absolutely
what's happening in that archive.
and we're seeing. So one of the things I've been working with here is actually kind of shift things more over to like the thin client method, where you're actually using like a Chromium browser to do the base of that, and then displaying your information to the Chromium browser so it's closer to a web page than anything. That gives you the most flexibility.
That's pretty similar to what I'll go to the technical details, but that's really similar to what we'd implemented with our client's DMB system now.
Yeah, so we did look at, from the Google side, we did look at things like Chrome sticks and things like that, because if you think about the drive-through, right, like drive-through is actually kind of an interesting case because you can run wire, but then that wire, has to be protected. You have to make sure you're not going to, it's not corroded over time. It doesn't get cut, things like that, right? But often carries microphone cables and stuff like that as well. So a lot more information goes out there. So when you start looking at that, well, now you're dealing with specific types of wires and proprietary plugs and all those things that go into them. As we start to evolve and get into more generic-based technologies, like this is where we start saying, do we want to do something with a wireless? Is there going to be a problem with it? If not, so we can start looking at different protocols to kind of solve those problems from that big distance and make things even faster. So that's sort of cool.
I'm curious if I could ask a question. I'm curious, personalization, on the edge, kind of where have you kind of played in there, and kind of what have you learned there?
So non-specific to any non-specific to any one particular customer, but things like loyalty programs are actually really cool. So like the concept of Bluetooth tags, where you can use like the anonymous tagging of where they're at, right? Like this is something where you can from just my phone, I can actually kind of geofence up to a point. Like I pulled into the parking lot of the place that I'm at, should be able to say, great, I geolocated that this person is in the area, and then that might be something like, hey, let's go ahead and trigger dropping fries, or let's put a little, hey, welcome,
He always ordered 10 large fries.
Yes, exactly. Drop 2 batches. Right up. Nice big broadcast of like, this is what you order. And you're like, oh, welcome. Yeah. Your fries are ready. Yeah. Yeah. So you do have to be careful. I will share something that I know of one of these. I have to be a little cautious. I won't say who it was, but we'll say that voice prints were at one point allegedly taken and reminded when the person came back up, said, hey, would you like to have that menu again? You're like, oh, how did you know that? So we do have to be a little careful, and so does the other one. Yeah, but yeah, and it definitely not done the Thursday, right? Like it was I'm sure just like me, like a nerd going, "What? I could do this, right?" Yeah, total personalization, right? And we have to remember that laws on those things, privacies exist, and so all of those always still have to plug back into. While you can still use Bluetooth tags, and those are publicly available because they're anonymous, right? You still have to be able to opt into something to be able to allow that to be.
And then the demographic difference too from some of that personalization stuff. Like I talked to some of my older friends and they're like, I want none of my data tracked. And I talked to my younger friends and they're like, they expect when they roll up, for them to know exactly what they're going to order.
I remember a study, it was probably 5-6 years ago with millennials, where they're talking about like the data, and basically what they discovered is that millennials had no concern about having the data shared and borrowed, but you had to see a return from it. Exactly. So if it was abused, then they were like the complete opposite. They're absolutely angry about it, but they're okay with it being there as long as it was to their value.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Gen Z, especially the millennials and Gen Z, expects like that level of technological advancement from some of these QSRs at this point.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, yeah, it's all about moving food a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, they're buried in the phones all the time, right? I mean, I'm not one to judge. I'm one of them too, but I'm still a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
So me, right here. But yeah, everything has to be convenient, right? It has to be at your fingertips. And I joke a lot about just Mike and I are from the generation where we had to wait to listen for the song that we wanted on the radio, and then we would record it, with a tape, and we'd make our own mixtapes, right? Yeah. Now, in like my kids, they don't know anything about that. They don't even know what a record looks like. Yeah. Or never touched one. And they ask, Google or Siri or whoever they're talking to right now, or Alexa or whatever, to play what they want or watch what they want right now.
Right. And there's no different from QSRs now, right?
It'll even it'll leave up, or it'll pick up where you left off if it's a movie or something like that. So there's an inherent expectation that it moves as fast as their wants.
That's actually interesting. Like if you think about the kiosk, it's the same thing, right? So in a QSR, right, the slowest possible thing in the restaurant right now is the drive-thru, because you can do, it's pretty much linear. That's why McDonald's introduced 2, and then the rest are kind of copying it, right? But it's somewhere, I want to say it's like almost a minute per vehicle. is kind of the average with it. And then, but if you do it at a point of sale where somebody's actually typing it, it's about 6 per minute. You do it at the kiosk, it's even faster, right? So, but in order to do that, it's a sociological change too. You have to convince people that it's okay to go put your food in. Now, an interesting side effect that happened from that is another big area of loss for QSRs is actually order accuracy. And so how quickly, or say how inaccurate it is, because like nobody complains when they get an extra cheeseburger for free, except for the franchise owner. Like they care, because their margins go down. But if you don't get what you paid for, you definitely get really bad, right? And so your cost is even higher than just the fact you didn't, serve the food. So what they find is the kiosks are actually incredibly efficient. And so it is a digital menu board, right? Like that's the same area. You can go back and say, well, did you forget this? Or did you want to change this? Right. But
It's just someone else punching the keys. It's just the consumer. Yeah.
well, like the older folks generally, and not only on them, but like they generally didn't like it at first. But what's really cool is we watch the studies that are coming out, and it's becoming accepted even by pretty much all generations now.
Yep.
It's the size, it's the order. There's a bit, and this is where like the leadership of like the big companies, the McDonald's and the Taco Bells and stuff like that are coming in, because the mid-sized businesses can come in and look at how they approached it from a UX perspective. Because I think if we all just literally the first thing you do is pop open that menu in front and it's just all small, nobody would order it, right?
No.
So they do a really good job of like iconography and location.
There's some examples. Again, I've talked about my own experiences with certain things, like going through Starbucks line or McDonald's, for example. I will use the kiosks at McDonald's over going to the register, but there are other ones. And I don't remember where we were the other day. This just happened a couple days ago, and it was at Popeyes.
Oh,
It was horrific.
oh no. We might have to cut that out. It's an old experience.
It's a personal experience, but it was and there were two people at the cashier counter there, and there was like 6 kiosks. This is the one right outside town, heading east.
Yeah.
And I walked up, and there was these people ahead of me. They were confused, couldn't figure it out. I went up to it and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a bad experience. I'm not gonna give my tenders, or something's gonna go wrong, right? And so this kind lady sitting over there, I like that part, because what you said earlier is we're basically telling people that with the introduction of all the new technology and advancements, we need to change the way you buy.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so for people like me, we're kind of that split generation. My dad would never go to a kiosk. He's going to tell someone what he wants so he can tell him and make sure that he heard him, and that's that.
Yep.
Okay, but he doesn't go to very many QSRs, right? So when you're talking about change the way that people buy things, there has to be a kind of a ramp up, right?
Yep.
Where you have your experience, and then maybe you go back. But maybe next time I go to Popeyes, they'll have that fixed, and it'll be better, and I'll get out of there in 30 seconds. But I sat there, and I waited and waited and waited just to get there, and it just was like, oh, I just can go over here.
Yeah, right.
And I got my food, like at least 2 or 3 minutes before the people did order in the kiosk.
Yep, right.
And I walked right out, and they were ahead of me.
There's a level of customization, I think, is where the cutoff happens. Like if I'm in and I'm like, I want a cheeseburger and a fry and a drink, and that's it. There's no customization. Just give me those 3 things, right? Like you walk your kiosk, click, 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 and I'm done. If it's like a sandwich shop and you're like, well, kind of hold the vinegar, but double the mayo and take away the onions and whatever, like at that point, the clicks become quite difficult. So I think this in digital menu boards and kiosks are going to be changing, I think, as we get into more of the voice side of these things. Right now, the ROI I don't think is quite yet there. There's a little bit of issues with the technology on getting it down to it, but over the next 5 years, I anticipate we're going to probably clean up a lot of that. Yeah. And then it will be, I can just in native language speak to it and have it understand, and then me validate and verify it. Right.
Hey, Google, order me this. That's a great.
And we were talking about this earlier, but Wendy's just released the Fresh AI here, and they've been testing that out, which has been fascinating. There's been some pros, there's been some cons, but I think it's kind of the beef, like you just said, it's the beginnings of something new. And one thing Ed and I talk about kind of a lot is in QSR, like this is how it feels to me, is like when the App Store released and it was just like, whoa, like we can kind of do all this different stuff. It kind of feels like QSRs are in that era where it's like kiosks, AI dude talking to you on the thing. Like it's just like license plate readers, like voice read. Like it's just, there's so much going on right now, and it's cool. Like there's a lot of cool tech to like kind of poke at and see. It's always what I call the we have to be careful and guard ourselves against the $1 million fix for a $50 problem. So like right. It's still something that can still be solved as a human. Yeah, you don't always need to have the technology to solve. That's true.
Yeah, for $15, collectively $100 an hour, and for out in the restroom, right?
Yeah, the sentiment being that like if a human could probably do it, but at the same time, I think this is a good time, and this is probably a good introduction or a good piece, right, for audience to hear, right, is while we go out, let's be careful about our hubris and going out and saying, great, I'm just going to use this thing, I'm going to jam it down their throats, and I'm going to do it the way I want to, and AI is just going to solve all the problems. I think what we find out pretty quickly is it doesn't work that way, right? Like we hallucinate like crazy. You end up with 10,000 straw orders and things like that are just not intended. So this is a good opportunity for us to actually
Yeah, the 10,000.
yeah, sugar packets or whatever. Yeah. But then, this is a really good opportunity right now for us to say, okay, well, we've got this thing called validated learning is one of the concepts for AI, right? Where I can go do something, and then if a human would validate what that is, so you're tagging the information. So that's a perfect example of a drive-through right now. Come through, you hear it, the person's at the kiosk or the POS, they're typing all the stuff they need to do, and then they hear it. So what we should be doing is we should be recording those voices, legally, of course, in nature, it's all above board, right? But then we have the validation of that. So use that for a piece of training data to go back in. So now the next phase is great. Well, I'll let the AI lead after I've collected most of that detailed information, and then now the human validates it. Do that for a period of time until the quality is high enough, and then go ahead and let the AI take over from there.
Yeah, there it is. So instead of saying, welcome to McDonald's, are you checking in with your mobile app? It's like, can we record your voice for future visits to our restaurant, right?
Hyper personalization.
Or you can just put some fine print on the audio.
Usually it does a sign at you, like, and I think generally it's okay, like from a public perspective, and I'm not a legal person, so do not take his legal advice in any possible way. But generally it's usually accepted in a public place that is okay to do that. But you follow, legal laws of the place of like how long it can exist. So the thing that I built for Google is a edge face system that actually runs. So we got them in some McDonald's and a whole bunch of other locations, and it provides us the ability to do things like that. So if I do actually capture voice prints from people like that, what I can do is I can anonymize that data. I can run it there, so it never actually leaves the restaurant. And that's where a lot of the legal trouble really gets into, is especially if you get into a lot of European laws and stuff where I capture a video in the moment it's PII, if it crosses the border, now it's illegal, things like that. So we can anonymize that data locally. So
How do you solve for the I guess the local audio, the local storage of this data? But what if the guy is out, I don't know, outdoor salesman or something like that, but he goes to 2 McDonald's?
So actually that's an interesting thing. So like data transfer is data is the anchor, right?
Yeah.
And it is for everywhere still. So what we end up doing is in that case there, you're not actually solving to an individual. You're making everything anonymous. You're going to be solving against that. So it doesn't matter if they travel to 2 different ones. You're not using a voice print of that person. You're capturing the output from those. And so that should be the same no matter what. But you do make a good point that if I end up going to a store and doing things like people counting or things like that, and I do care about somebody's there because it's a loyalty program or something along those lines, well, then you got to have that centralized player. And that's usually where cloud ends up becoming, quite important for it. So do a lot of calculation things local, keep things cache as much as you can, and then, push the cloud and have that be your intermediary in it. And then that's where all the fun really starts, because then you start saying, well, how fast do I need to get something from this store to that store? There's a potential. So I've got an automotive company that we work with that they offer warranties, right? And so their concern is that somebody would go to one store, pick it up, and then immediately need to warranty it back at their place. Well, now they're not at the same store, they're at the other store. So now does they cache it, right? So they ended up coming up with algorithms that are actually much more efficient to say, well, what is the possible opportunities they would have to be able to do that? Apparently buying in New York and then 10 minutes later having it available in San Francisco is probably not going to trip that. If you can figure that out, you probably don't need to be. You're not worried about buying anything. You're rich. You've solved beating physics, right? But what they did to you is really look at like a 30-mile radius from there and say like every hour after that we can start pushing the data to other locations because of that. So all of that becomes quite interesting when you start diving into the personalization and keeping that information process.
Yeah. So let's go with that. All nerdy fun. We poked our head into that. Yeah. Then we I think need to dive into a little bit more. So we're gonna start with you, Evan. Yeah. What's too much? Personalization. I'm gonna paint the picture for you.
Yeah.
You are down in Orange County.
Yeah.
Just got back from church.
Mind my business.
Yeah, mine's in West. And you just want some tacos from the Bell.
Yeah.
From the Bell. Or Del Taco.
Okay.
They was not Del Taco. And we serious. So you're going to Del Taco Bar. Okay. And as you approach, it knows you. the menu pops up with maybe even a little bit of a profile or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple past orders.
Yeah.
That's all convenient. Oh, you got you're going over to families, so you got to get more than your 6 tacos normally. You got to get like 2 12-packs.
Yeah.
With flappas. Some messy fries, whatever, right? Hot sauce.
Let's refill and predict. Yeah, what are we doing? Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And so it knows. I'm not going to lead you too much into this, but I don't want to answer it for you. But you get where I'm going.
Yeah,
right, for sure. At what point do you become uncomfortable with how much it knows, or does it know you're going? Because maybe it is a Google service, and it knows that it's on your calendar that you just got back for church, and every 3rd Sunday, well, you go to mom and dad's with 24 tacos.
Yeah. I think if it knows my
Because they know that.
if it does my slow adrenaline's too far.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, no, they know this. They know this. Yeah, they saw your Instagram post, great service, right? Now they know it's gonna be 24 minutes till you get to that Del Taco.
Yeah.
So where's the wine?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't want to say it depends, but it does.
No, it doesn't.
Right? For me,
For you, Depends podcast.
for me, I don't see like I kind of have this like loose opinion on my data that I'm like it's getting collected anyways.
Are you a millennial?
I am like yeah, right? Weird. Not surprising. Like my data is getting collected almost everything I do throughout the day, so it's just like it's out there, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if it like actually had some information on me that was like genuinely scary, like, but I don't know what the threshold of that would be, you know, like
Telling you don't get that burger because you didn't go.
right, yeah, they do that, you know, that's like,
That might be the
Tied to your Peloton. It's like, you did not cycle this morning. You missed you in class.
Yeah, we're just gonna give you the salad instead.
yeah, it's asking me emotional connection like questions, like, and then like, are you all right? You've been here like 3 times in like the last few days.
Offering alternatives. We'll see. You've only burned 400 calories this week. Might we are for a lighter option? Yeah, that'd be too far because I want what I want, right? I'm not. I just did a whole morning and now I was hungry for tacos.
The studies they've done on these really, it does come down to both generational, but it also comes down to even like regional. Like you're gonna get to that, and then you get into ethnicities and stuff. Like everybody's kind of got a different feeling of how much something is.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is that, well, not it's like the studies are showing that it creeps over time. Right. So like the whole idea is a kiosk, right? Like absolutely not, will not do this. 2 years later, you're a master at typing. Yeah,
Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. And that's why I shared that experience too. Is that there are ones that I know I can use, because I've used them enough, I've interacted with them, and then the ones that I see for the first time, like the Louisiana Fast Place, that was scary. Not scary, but it was just like I don't want to deal with this. It was more frustrating than anything else, especially when I see 2 cashiers. That's where I'm gonna go. So as that late Gen X person, that's kind of my default. But I also side with you where it's like I'm under no illusion that my data is not everywhere, like on the dark web. Do my spam calls I used to get, but I'm not. We can't do plugs at anybody. But I recently got an app that screens all of them, and it's done beautiful.
Yeah,
like
talk after.
We're talking 6 to 10 a day, down to down.
That's great.
Maybe 1 or 2 a week.
I think
It's amazing.
you had mentioned like where the creepy side comes in.
Yeah, let's go down to that.
And like for me, I think it's going to come down to like what is the goal you're trying to do? And a lot of these things, like if it's asking me about, do you want to buy magazines with this or whatever? I'm like, no, I'm here to get a burger. Like that's my thing, right? So it's like, I think a lot of the add-ons, come on, I hate that. It needs to come down to like where do you feel is the line of what you're no longer doing your objective or your goal is? Yeah, for now. And that's up to the person who the marketing to do that, right? This is going to be on their owners because I think they need to be prepared for bushwhack. For I'm not going to use this, I'm not going to go there. Just like you said, your dad, I'm just not going to go there now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do think most individuals want really customized experience. I mean, you think about social media now, like your Instagram algorithm is designed to give you what you want.
Oh yeah.
And then TikTok shop. There's that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They know that I love the sheets and I'll be all this stuff. Man, look at the sheets. I love the sheets, man. There's a particular kind of sheet that they sell in the TikTok shop, and they know that I have 4 bedrooms. And they know that there's 1 bed that doesn't have them yet, right? And and everybody needs 2 sets. So I bought 8. Yeah, right. But they're amazing. They're amazing. They're cheap. So for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like social media, like everything is tailored towards that customization, and like that's what people will expect out of the QSR experience,
And at first they're gonna say, "Oh, it's too much,"
Yeah. Yep.
And so you just dial it up a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So that's where I was going to say, let's walk it out. The personalization side and the add-ons.
Yeah.
Got me with that one.
So the add-ons are that's your revenue beyond your initial purchase, right? Like your ARPU and stuff like that. Like that's what you really have to figure. I think what we might end up seeing here is because the personalization is still quite early, right? And our personalization means like, do you want more? Like that's really what they're trying to say. Or
Stop being.
yeah, we recognize you didn't have onions. Do you really not want onions, right? But they can go a step further, right? And we can get to like the science side of it and saying, well, hey, I've on my profile, I've indicated that I can't have peanuts, right? And so I no longer have to have that conversation like, where you allergic to something? Well, like it already knows, or like I'm allergic to shellfish, right? So it'd just be like automatically just not even show that it's on there. Or if I order, say, hey, warning, just so you know, this has in it, right? Then you're solving a problem that's a cool personalization. Well, but I think we're also going to see another generation come out here of like just completely custom food. Yeah, this might be like no longer is it am I having a burger? You might have, Mike's burger, which just happens to be in a tortilla with, what I mean, like whatever it might have been, because I can construct whatever I want.
Well, I thought you were talking more like a sushi-rito or something.
Yeah, like a sushi. That's like the exact example of those things so good.
Yeah, yeah, sushi roll like a burrito.
About the two things that I love. Burritos.
Place in Vegas that has them and they're amazing. Yeah, and they're like $9.
Burritos are still the most efficient method of food.
Yeah, I would wrap just about anything in a wrap or something to hold in my head.
In one hand.
Oh, I
Do other things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that though. But let's run it out a little bit more on what does industry do and what does our what does the business world do and how they respond to these things. I could see affiliate programs like you show up to McDonald's or we picked on McDonald's a lot. Let's say nobody goes to burgers and I don't think
Gotta cut that there.
we're not that popular. We're not that popular.
Yeah, move back.
We're not that
However, you're trying to get these guys as customers.
Are we? Oh,
No, you're not.
no, I know. Okay. Let's go with we'll go with the Subway, right?
Yeah.
So you go Subway, but not very many Subways have drive-throughs.
Right.
So we're gonna go Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy John's is good. This would be the Jimmy John's example. So you show up to Jimmy John's in the drive-through. You get your Slim 4 with bacon and cheese, and then the extras pop on. And I'm not talking about do you want chips and a cookie that they sell. Do you want to enroll in this thing? So have you noticed that when you like buy certain things online or like especially like subscriptions or something like that, once you complete that part, there's like 5
Yeah.
more windows that
How to say that's the annoying part. Like that's where I draw the line.
Me too.
You buy a thing of tickets, right? Like a Ticketmaster, and next thing you know, it's like, would you also like life insurance?
Yeah,
Like,
what do you want to quote from Progressive? It's like no.
well, maybe I do.
No,
But
I don't.
the dime, I just want my tickets and get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think
But there's more companies that'll start. There'll be like
yeah.
affiliate management companies that are going to say, okay, we're going to sell you, and all the rev share comes back. This is a different version of what online advertising and digital advertising was in the early 2000s.
What back to physical?
What became? What it became? Where they're going.
Yeah, it becomes like I think those impulse buys are also something that like those big QSRs are trying to get at too. They're trying to make like the digital menu experience be like a checkout lineup, like a grocery store, right? So you're getting those like product recommendations right after you check out, right before you check out.
Oh, it's equivalent to the Snicker bars and the gum.
Exactly.
Annoying, but it works.
But people buy it.
Yeah, people buy it.
One of the highest rated extra add-ons on anything is check mark. That's exactly it. Yeah. So it's the like, oh yeah, probably this little thing just tags in right there.
Oh sure. Well, because you're standing in line, right? Oh, you're waiting for the person in front of you. Except for most places now, you're checking yourself out.
Yeah.
You know that, and they're not there.
You just went in.
I haven't seen a Safeway checkout in a couple of years, probably.
We don't have a. I haven't seen this yet. There's not a method for drive-through. Right? If I go to the drive-through, I place my order. I'm not done. I'm just now waiting. There's a period of time that you're inevitably waiting for that product to come up. I wonder if there'd be an interesting method there to be like, what shift? Yeah. Well, you could go ads, right? Like, I think that's the certification world of that. But like, but like, could we go to something like, well, what if you wanted to ask something else? Just got a few minutes here. Like, could you,
And that's where
push notification.
Yeah.
that's where the interconnectivity comes from. So you're in your car. We're not going to plug anyone else. I guess we've never had trouble for these. But you're in your car, right? And your car's modern-ish, it's got enough where you got nav and you probably have Google Maps or Waze or something, right? Or even Apple Maps.
Yeah.
All the data that's collecting, like it knows because it's plugged into the main board and main computer that runs the car. It knows that you have a quarter tank of gas. Right. It knows that there's a gas station. When you said the gas ads, I'm like, right, that's it. right?
Yeah.
Because I will watch mine go all the way down and then start to like really widen up to the, like, are we going to make it?
Yeah.
I do that a lot, and I've only run out of gas one time, and it's back in like early 2000s. But I see where that stuff comes in, where there's just like another thing, or you have something else to do, right? Because it's calendar based, it's vehicle status based service, all the things that kind of tie into that. That's what I'm saying. There are companies that will start to sprout up that are going to leverage AI.
It's really the Internet of Things, like how
IoT delay. It is.
how connected are we? And also, like, what's the access gates here? Like, do I let my car connect to McDonald's? Like, yeah, if I pull into that gas station, I'm waiting for gas, my car goes, hey, McDonald, you have something comes in. Burger app existed. Do you feel like a McFlurry? I mean, these Oreo existed. If you look at like Waze is actually working or has actually worked. And I wonder if we hit that and dropped it. I wonder if the return on investment wasn't there. Like if it wasn't adopted, it might have been too early stage for it. But I mean,
It's too busy. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
because on Waze it probably like, hey, there's a 7-Eleven coming up. Like, or would you like to stop? Sure, and did that. Be like, no, I'm just on my way. So it doesn't have enough information on what you might want to do, whatever, right? Or your emotional state of like, no, I'm not going in. Like I've got pajama pants on. I'm not going into a public place or whatever it might be. But it would be interesting to combine some of the newer technology coming out with like the distribution, like let's call it like Uber Eats style, right? But like maybe it's in robots and things. So what if I am at a gas station and I could order, a McDonald's that's just slightly down the road and have it show up on there? Like by the time a ferry is going to be at that gas station, 15 minutes, because that's what it is. Or you'll see this with the Teslas and the electric vehicle stuff like that. What if as you pull in, those things automatically monetize and say, great, we can have this food here at this time. As you come in, you could, there's new areas out there that I think that are going to be explored as we resolve.
That's already in play a little bit, not across the board, but I mean, Starbucks, you have to order ahead, right?
You can order ahead, but to have it actually delivered to the location.
Oh, delivered to the location. Yeah. That's just the next iteration.
It's a base step. Yeah. We were talking about personalization a little bit earlier, and it reminded me of something that Ed and I think you did like a POC kind of like architecture around like drive-through personalization. We kind of touched on it a little bit, kind of the creepiness.
It's a weird though. I think you can summarize it each little.
Yeah, because what we were playing around with was this this user customer experience of like driving up to your drive-through window, and your DMB, like the drive-through DMB, is kind of plugged into your phone. You talked about Bluetooth. That was kind of the tech that we were thinking using for that kind of geolocation. But then your menu literally shifts and changes to meet like whatever you're used to. So like if you're using like an app, that's just like table stakes. Is like your app should show your favorites. It should show like what you last ordered.
Yeah, most of them do.
And like, where is that for the DNBs? Like, I don't know if I've seen that quite yet. But you go check a McDonald's. They do one of that places. Yeah. It'll take over a quarter of the screen and show you your menu, but it will actually shift a few things around, which is pretty neat. So that's really cool. And this is without knowledge of what they're doing. So I'm not saying that as a person who's done inside stuff. This isn't just me as a customer. I've seen it, which is, I think it's really neat. But what's interesting is I did have conversations with some of the folks there around these types of things. And what ends up happening is you actually can inadvertently lose sales too and not realize. Interesting. So if you have things like the canonical case of like walk up, I don't have a kid with me, so why show me kids meals, right? But lo and behold, I could be going out because my wife's like, you need to go get food and I need to buy a kid. And I'm like, they don't have Happy Meals anymore. Right. Wouldn't do that. But but I'm like, it's not on the menu, right? So you could inadvertently lose as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's kind of a data quality issue. This is how I hearing that too. Yeah, exactly. Like how do you know for sure what that person is going to potentially be doing? So and it's all things where I think like we're spending a lot of money to try to solve these things, and kind of goes back to what I was going to ask earlier about the ROI stuff. Like where do you start measuring the success of these things? Like you've got all of this technology and you control these dynamic things, but does it make sense? And I think a lot of these are successes and failure, right? We're going to have a lot of these things that are going to be like, sure, showing dynamic food on there isn't useful, and I won't even go into like dynamic pricing, like those things out there thing, but like the add-ons, like that actually might be a good one, right? Or like, oh, hey, did you mean to do, the Bliss bar while you're there because it's in season? Or don't show it because we don't have it in stock or something like that. Like that actually might drive us. So there might be ROI there, but then how do you measure that success because those things are dynamic? So it's not just having it up there, but like, can you actually give it a number to say that this was a useful thing? Right.
that always has to be built into the platform that you're doing as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how like digital menus, like they almost act as like a silent salesperson.
Absolutely.
It's right. It's like an automated salesperson that like the customer doesn't even realize they're being sold to. Mrs. They created just like I'm looking for what I want, but like the menu has to guide you there. And like customizations and like personalization of these menus like you can lose sales, you can gain sales. Well, and you just have to use it effectively.
And Ensor is just in the figuring it out stage right now. That was, the like McDonald's is not the only one that in terms of like kiosks right now, which is the kind of walk up version of what we're talking about for drive through. There's always that before you check out, right? Do you want fries or because you didn't get fries, right? So yeah, it's the upsell cart. All like the DoorDash apps, all the food delivery apps do that, where it's like, oh, you're ordering this.
I think what's going to be interesting is over time here. So like, Brian Nichols and whatnot, they've kind of like introduced things even at Chipotle have been like, okay, we had 900 SKU things. Let's cut that down to 6, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see, I think we're seeing more and more that like, I'm going to specialize in the thing I want as my brand. And it's the thing I want to put together. So with that, like DMVs become a little bit different. So it's no longer filtering out, miles of the things that you may not order and just show you what you want. Right. They have 6 things. So I think it's going to shift a little bit more into like the icon or the brand, the visual images and things like that way. And what I did read a study in this was an NRF last year. They're kind of showing about some QSR stuff, but it was the images of the food and just like even something as much as it rotates. That's something that makes somebody like for some reason. People just look at it like, oh, now I'm hungry for that. I want that thing, right?
Or that looks tasty, yeah.
And ultimately, I think the ROI, we come back to like where some of this ROI comes into, a lot of it's really going to be paid for itself. And like traditionally, if I had to go do like wall boards and I had to go put like, window, scrapings and all this thing on the windows or window fittings, like this now gives you the dough to say, I'm going to ship from this to this in, 2 hours. Right? Because, that the end of that sale rolls immediately into the next one here. And I no longer have to go, print out a whole bunch of extra stuff. So, you have to wash the windows. Exactly. So that's where like the ROI comes.
I wonder what the window caterers did all that back in the day.
They're
all the seasonal ones.
They're living code.
They're out of work.
And now that we got AI and AI is writing all over code, like they're just doing coding.
Yeah.
Talking to Gemini and like, hey, he's got this thing to be done, and learn to code, learn the prompt. Yeah, learn to go. All right, learn the prompt.
Because it's all about the context.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Okay.
Bigger context, better.
So what's too much for you?
Too much personalization.
Personalization. Same question that Em got, but
I love it. Yeah. I think for me, like personalization, too much is anything past my expectation. So it's like, and I know it's like, okay, like kind of like go down. Yeah, it's about, it's like, but it's like, what is my expectation at and what's being communicated? Like, I think you can do a lot of data collection and personalization if your expectation is there. Like, I'm a big YouTube guy. Like, I'm on YouTube a lot and it knows me so well. And I like that, and I know that, and I know that it knows me, and I know that's that's my expectations.
are you guys friends?
And you built a little bit of trust with it, right? So like, when it says here's a new video, you're like, oh, well, probably watch it. I'll probably not waste my time. Yeah.
Right. And so I think if you're setting expectations with your customers really well, you can actually do a lot of personalization for them. Like I think you had said it, where millennials are expecting the data to be collected, but also used well. So I think, it depends regionally, things like that. But I think that's kind of the answer that Atomic QSR should look at.
Yeah, I think there's also maybe a limit to like how much you can actually collect through like these opt-ins, like for different QSR apps. It's like there's only so much they can know about you, but I think you can make inferences like based off of like also past orders, like and maybe there's like a whole like psychological study of like how just like small like changes between orders and like what products
They do that, but they A/B test all the time, and that actually gives you an opportunity. You have a DMB to do A/B testing, as well. And I'll tell you, like it's not digital menu board. I will say that a lot of the QSR stuff is going on right now is even around like sentiment analysis and things like that. Yeah, for sure. What is the mood of the person or the restaurant or the things like that? You can serve different food based off of your rollover times.
What happened yesterday, like in town?
Right. Yeah.
All those factors. Yeah.
Yeah. So the rollover time is a really big one, right? Like, so you got seat times. Like if you've got tech in the store that will tell you like your rollover time is 10 minutes, try to continue to keep serving things for 10 minutes. Don't start serving things that are going to have people eating rather 20 minutes long, right? Yeah. And so like they'll time some of those things together. And if you've got the ability to display a little bit differently what they might do, you can at least influence them into kind of keeping those things. So Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that kind of start combining when you start using multiple different levels of tech. And I get like when we're talking about ROI for like D&B specifically, like I think you brought up A/B testing. It's a huge one. Like I think the first piece of ROI that a customer might think is like, oh, I want to print these now. That's kind of nice. There's no labor putting them up. Like yeah, that's just like a sliver. Yeah, once you start A/B testing, that unlocks a whole nother world. Or once you start doing things like day parting, we've seen like I believe there's some case studies to back this, but there's like a ticket lift based on day parting. So are you showing breakfast items at breakfast? Are you showing stuff? And then the last phase, and we've talked with clients about this, that I think is exciting, is when you start doing dynamic digital menu boards around like events happening in the area. You can do brand partnerships with fans or with pop singers and serve specialty things. Yeah, we touched with this. Real cool. Yeah, so you can start doing these like very like localized, I'll use the term loosely, that's like AI or ML. Like you can start like planning your menus differently than you would with just
With the weather too.
with weather as well. Like yeah, the hot drinks, cold drinks stuff. Yeah. What's interesting is like we've been talking about personalization really as being like you and me personalization. Like I have a personal relationship with the restaurant itself, but we're not actually. You just hit on the point there, and I kind of earlier talked about Bacas and Macados and stuff like that, right? But there's also a community aspect of that too for the personalization. So that would be the like, do we have concerts in the area, or is it a bright sunny day versus not, right? Right. And you form this relationship because your store can be differentiated enough from another, even if it's a franchise. Having the ability to make changes on something like that gives you a lot more flexibility. You can be that local store too. Yeah, Arson. Yeah. And so DMB is just like unlocks all of that. Like it's not just about printed menus. It's not, dude, it's absolutely, it's the gateway to be able to make more decisions on how you want to present it. Because that's kind of the main thing you have to your customer, right? Is you got the look of the store and you got this menu. Yep. Yeah, so that's pretty much your main interface to a customer. Yeah.
It just eats with locomotion.
Yes.
There you have it. It's the gateway to better and more decisions. Yeah, that's right. I like that. Yeah. So your threshold is where about this.
My threshold is down to the thing that I want. So meaning that like I don't want anything outside of the bounds of like if I'm ordering a meal, I want the meal. And that's it. I want no other conversation. I want nothing else. I am unlikely to order magazines. Yeah, but I don't need life-term insurance, and maybe based on what I ordered, maybe, but do you need a storage unit? Yeah, don't need a storage unit, exactly. Are you sure you don't need life insurance? Yeah. Let's follow up. Please click this button that we offered it to you. Yeah.
If he's clicking, but it's going to come back up like 3 or 4 times. It's like, are you sure? You've been here 4 times this week.
Yeah.
You might need a life insurance. No.
Yeah, so like that's where mine draws this area. Like, I want it as long as it's still serving the purpose of getting me the one objective that I'm there. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we're going to go around one more time with the final question. And seeing that this is a podcast that's largely based on what AI is doing, what it's not doing, what it will be doing. My question for everyone is, in the context of everything we just talked about, the AIs, what are they going to do? How are they going to be leveraged?
Yeah.
What is their purpose going to be? What is it? Maybe it's about what is it today? And what's it going to be like in 5 years, specific to digital menus? Because what I'll go first. So you just talked about you want what you want. You don't want magazines or life insurance, add-ons, that's right, affiliates, all that. You won't answer your questions other than I want my number 4, or whatever you get. And that's it. The AIs will know that. Yes or no?
I would say no. The AI won't. The data that's fed to the AI.
Well, the data was
It comes back to the customer.
but it's going to offer. I guess I know the AIs aren't going to say, "Oh, this is Mike," right? But it's going to know from all these other data points, all these other services, all the things it's going to do. It's going to be able to aggregate all that and say, when you pull in, however you're geofence or however you're connected to that digital menu, it's going to know. Don't serve him up anything else. He just wants the number 4. With extra attention.
I think what's going to end up happening here is we're going to see less emphasis on the AI, the LLMs being the central player. We're already seeing them actually take more of a backstage, but they're going to be an incredibly important aspect of that. Because I think when I think about ordering something, what I really want from the AI to be a part of it is like put it in a context that I can understand or I can work with. So this means that I might be doing, text to speech, speech to text, things back in like my native language or in my vernaculars or things that I prefer, right? or it might be it detects, sentiment analysis that over.
It's again about the experience.
Yes.
Of its customer. Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of things you can observe from that. That's the LLM, I think itself isn't going to be the thing that's going to drive that. It's going to be a tool used to set up that experience context that you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hold on.
Momo, what do you think?
Yeah. I have a pie in the sky idea for what
Okay.
AI
Yeah.
could be.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the term AI. I'm gonna use the term AI loosely, like LLM, combination of LLM and other like tools. But
Okay.
I think where I could see kind of AI and QSRs kind of going in the future would be like deployed agents into specific like each restaurant. So each restaurant might have an agent that manages certain parts. Like we were doing some research, and I believe I don't know if it was Sweet Green or whoever, but they were had a AI helped like scheduling people, and it was in concert with like the manager or the owner, and they were using it to kind of figure out who works well together, what shifts work. It's a basic shift management, but I could see something like that starting to manage like all parts of a restaurant.
It already exists. Okay. Yeah. If you happen to be at NRF this year, swing by the Google booth, and I'll show you it.
Great.
I built one. Yep. No, that's exactly it. I think
You're a bit NRF.
Huh?
We should put NRF.
Hey, go to NRF. It is, if you're in retail, it's the second week of January. New York City. It's the biggest retail show, and there's all sorts of cool tech there. But there's some interesting things that a company I cannot mention discovered. They can actually tell you who's dated.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because like where they end up going within the greater retail area and why they keep taking the same breaks. And so they would use that for part of the scheduling. You'd be like, well, it's okay to have them together, or in some cases, you're waiting for it to do it. They're going to make sure they're not scheduled together.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Oh, wow.
That's where we're heading. That's where we're there. We're already there.
You've made it. We're already.
So your pie in the sky is just now in your table. It's this pie. This is now you got
It's a good idea.
already do. It's humble pie.
Yeah.
No,
But it's not wrong, right? Those are the things really that I think you want to kind of take away. So to me, AI is never replacing a human. It's what I really want this to be used for is it's to remove the toil that humans end up having, right? There, something like scheduling typically ends up being like that, right? Like, oh man, I really want to do this 160 hours here and blah, blah, blah. Like, have it say, here's what I suggest you, and then you tweak it from there, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're spot on. I think that's actually where a lot of the data is going to end up going is to just assist people to not have to learn everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just takes away some of that toil.
Yeah. I love it.
What's cool.
well, you're a good company because we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
About what's happening.
Don't replace humans.
It's funny. It's funny to actually talk to people though. And we've had these conversations.
Yeah.
Where there are technology managers out there in the world at the companies who think that they're going to have one person that manages the AI and all their engineers are going to be gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Not going to have.
Not gonna have that.
So, but that's not about menu boards.
Yeah.
Bring us home.
Yeah.
Where's it going? What's it going to do?
Yeah, I think like Mike said, like sentiment analysis, I think will be huge. And I think just like customization, personalization around like sentiments that like AI will be able to interpret so much about like our day to day and like how we're feeling. And I think just like making the menu experience, the QSR experience so customizable for that person, like I think that's what I'm most excited about. Is that like you roll up, it knows who you are, and this might scare people, but like it knows who you are, and like almost like the design of the menu is like it fits like the vibe that you give off, and it's just cool and like it evokes that emotions within people.
If you're calm, it's got a yellow background.
Well, no, you're reading yeah, like larger scholar fonts and things like that.
Yeah.
Super romantic.
Yeah, it knows you're 75, right? And it's like, okay, we're going to bump this up a couple.
You get the Reader Digest where
Yeah.
You get, remember the phones, the big numbers on it? That big? My grandma bought me one of those.
that's the checkout, right? Like it's hell over a little button. So
Well,
100 the
is it exactly?
No, it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, guys, thanks for coming out today. I think this was a very productive, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll get you on the next one.
Well done. Thanks, guys. Bye now.
Ah.